the kind you wear a tie. Button up from 9 to 5. I tried that life but said goodbye. I'm not always polite, but I get the job done. Who says the world can never be fun? I'm simply unprofessional. Simply unprofessional. Yeah.
Good evening, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of Simply Unprofessional. I'm your host, Webby. Joining me tonight, we got Rob.
Hey guys, it's Rob, the co-hostest with the mostest.
See, everybody. I don't even have to say it anymore. It is just apparently naturally implied, and they say it themselves. Also joining us tonight, we got Clay.
So
Clay, we've talked before about you. You've been on this show a couple times now, and
what did I do wrong now?
even on some of the episodes where you're, behind the scenes and maybe just listening in, that you had that little outburst during the outro music that one time, which I pointed out to everybody.
I know not a voice to speak. That must have been lies.
Well, it's good to have you back, and I'm happy that you're back because this week's episode we're going to be talking about Ark Survival Evolved. There's another one called Survival of the Fittest. I don't understand that one. There's two different names to this, I guess. But anyway, it's a...
Survival of the Fittest is an event.
Oh, alright. I don't know why I have that listed in my Steam library, but... what is this, like a survival RPG, I guess? Is that how you'd classify this?
Open world survival RPG multiplayer, yes.
Okay. So essentially, with this game, you log in, you choose a server, right, that you want to play on, and there are various different servers. There are official servers. There's different maps you can play on. So you can play on a map called the Islands, which is just a couple, I want to say 3 or 4 different islands. There's the Center, which is the map me and you are currently on.
Yeah.
Also made up of several islands. It's strange, but one of them's big and floating and kind of up in the air.
And it's in the center.
Yeah. Well, actually, the Center, isn't that the underground area? Isn't that technically the Center?
No, that's actually classified as the underworld.
Oh, alright. Well, that's a creepy-ass place to get to, but once you're down there, it's kind of neat. Then there's Scorched Earth, which I've visited Scorched Earth before. I'm not a huge fan. It is literally all desert. There's little oases here and there, but it's mainly all just mountain and desert. Then there's one called Ragnarok, which is, again, several different types of biomes. Much larger map. And also on these maps, you can find various different types of dinos, and certain dinos are only found on certain maps. And then lastly is Aberration, which I have not been on because I do not have that expansion. But it's my understanding that most of that map is underground.
Yes.
You can go above ground, but you die. There are poison things during the day, and you can go outside at night, but listen, people, literally almost everything in this game is out to kill you. Okay? So whenever you pick a map, and then you pick the server that you want to start on, right? You essentially load up your character. You can change how your character looks a little bit. You can choose male, female, height, all this other stuff. And then when you pop into the server, you are essentially in your skivvies, somewhere on the map. Something around you is probably already chasing you before you even see anything. And then if a dinosaur isn't immediately trying to chew your face off, you're either overheating, freezing to death, or starving or dehydrating to death. It's
Basically.
really out to get you. That's how you start the game. Now, as you progress, you go and you can pick plants, and when you pick plants with your hands, you get some berries which you can eat. Some berries you can't or shouldn't. You get fiber, which then you can start making clothing, and then you essentially just have to gain materials and resources. It does pretty much progress like that. Once you get fiber, you can gather some wood by punching trees, and then get some thatch that way as well. And then you make a stone hatchet or a stone pickaxe. Now you can bust up rocks. You can get more resources using tools. I don't know some of the earlier things. I know early on you get a bow. I think I don't remember if
Your
your
basic
first weapon
starting
is like a stone pike or javelin or something.
a stone spear.
Yeah. So, Clay, you've played this a heck of a lot more than me.
I haven't played hardly at all. I don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah. Okay. Let's test that. How many hours? If you look on your Steam log, how many hours of this have you played? I will admit, I'm up to 531.
Mine doesn't say.
Yeah. Oh, yours just queued out, right? You've hit that.
Yeah, of course.
You've hit that 999 mark, and now it's just.
Oh, no.
Now you just have a bunch of stars there, like you've won some contest.
Maybe. No, I've got 1,150 hours.
Jesus Christ, that's pretty much double what I have. So in the beginning, you want to hunt for small dinos if you're going to hunt dinos at all. So there are some passive dinos that won't attack you regardless. But like dodos, very harmless dinosaurs. You hit them, they'll try to run away. They don't move very fast. That's how you're going to get your hide. Okay, which is very important for one of the most important things that you can get in the game, your fucking water skin. Because goddamn, you're going to dehydrate to death. So what's your base strategy when you first start up this game? Like, how do you go about approaching if you were to jump on a new server or whatever?
Mine, I get the stone axe and the pickaxe. I start mining stone, even though I can't do anything with it yet, and chopping wood. Basically, I get my small structure built so that if it comes down to it, I can hide from stuff.
Right. So the first structure that you're able to get in this game is thatch things. So
Yes.
essentially with thatch, you just need wood, thatch, and fiber. Very easy to get in this game. Build yourself a thatch, an X by X thatch foundation, however big you feel like you need it. Generally, I build it like 3 by 3 just to start. Then you're going to want to put your thatch walls. Thatch ceiling is very important because of flying creatures can just kind of dive bomb into your house if you don't have a ceiling. And then I'd say number 1, put down a storage box inside this hut, because things like Clay said, if you get stone, you might not necessarily need stone right away or flint, but those are things that you're going to need later on, so you might as well just store them away.
Yep.
So what else do you do once you get your little hut built and you're kind of safe for the time being?
You're never safe, technically, because, everything does want to kill you.
Well, I don't know where we are right now. I feel pretty safe.
Well, yeah, this is actually a secure building that we've worked on and built, so... but after that, your biggest problems, like Webby said, it's going to become food and water. You need your water skins, otherwise you're going to dehydrate, and you need your food, otherwise you're going to starve to death. Now, some people go try to cook meat right away and live off the meat. Berries is easiest because you're... At every point in the game, you're never going to have enough fiber for one.
Yeah, and honestly, people, there are bushes. Like to get berries, you pick bushes or long grass or whatever. It's very easy to distinguish what it is that you need to pick to get berries.
Yeah.
And that's pretty much everywhere. In every biome, you can see these things. So berries are very easy, although you do need a lot of them to be able to live off them and sustain off them forever, I guess.
You need a fair bit, but once you have a decent supply, you're pretty much set. And at that point, that's when you also begin making your narcotics using rotten meat and narco berries.
That's right, people.
To
You make
start-
drugs in this.
It's legal, and you're expected to make it.
That's right. And that brings me back to the type of berry that you don't want to eat, and that's the narco berries. So out of the berries, you have things like azul berries, tinto berries, the fucking meiju berries,
Azul berries and
the-
meiju berries.
Yeah. So those you can distinguish them all by color. There's red, blue, purple, yellow. Those are the safe berries. Then you get narco berries, which are black. If you eat those, it's going to increase something called your torpidity, and you'll fall asleep. It won't kill you. You'll just fall asleep. And then if you're sleeping, you're defenseless. Other things can wander up to you and eat you at that point. The other type of berry is stim berries, which if you are playing with somebody and somebody accidentally falls asleep by eating narco berries, you can force feed them stim berries to wake them up. The only thing with stim berries is if you eat a lot of them, it dehydrates you, which you don't need another reason to be dehydrated. There's plenty of them. Okay.
It also causes you to poop a lot.
Yeah, which Clay is infamous for playing with poop in this game.
I don't know what you're talking about again.
But you have to. I mean, you don't have to, but it does make life a lot easier.
How else you can get fertilizer?
Exactly. Now, Edquist, you're here. I know you don't play this game as much, but
It's got more hours than I do.
But you have played. So
I have indeed, yes.
What is when you first start in a match or in a game here? What's one of the first things that you try doing? Like, what's your go-to survival mood?
Well, it seems like my strategy is to be killed over and over and over and over again, but it's not.
See, like I told listeners, everything's out to kill you. And Edquist is out to kill himself.
Especially if you're playing with B, then prepare to be killed a lot.
Oh, yeah, that's just one more person out to kill you. She'll knock you out and then just dump you in a river. And yes, you have to breathe in this game. So if you fall asleep and you fall in the water, you're going to drown. So, yeah. Now of the do you how do I put this? When you first join into a server, Edquist, do you bother building a structure right where, like, close by wherever you are, or do you go looking for the ideal place first, like the ideal?
I try to find somewhere that has less low-level dinosaurs that are more like neutral, and then I build a small hut of some kind.
Okay. So you're the type that'll just wander off and try to find a more permanent place to build.
Yes, preferably near water of some kind, fresh water, because otherwise you dehydrate and die constantly.
Yep. Now, Clay.
Yeah.
What's your strategy when it comes to trying to pick out a permanent location to start establishing a home base on any particular map? Like, do you have a preferred, I guess, biome or area?
As long as there's, like you said, good source of water, good source of wood, stone, and as long as it's not too far away from a decent source of metal, because that's one of the end game items you need a lot of is metal in this game, because some dinos can do damage to certain buildings and some can't two others. Metal is the one building that cannot be damaged by any dino except for the big guy.
The Titanosaur.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. And for those of you who don't know, a Titanosaur is essentially like a super huge, I guess, Stegosaurus on crack.
Uh,
I think they'd be closer to a Stegosaurus than anything.
yeah, if you take the spines off and chop those off, kind of thing, because it doesn't have any spines on its back.
I thought it did. I thought it had the big, like the rock-looking spines, like the single row down its back.
It does, but they're not. They don't stick up that high. They just kind of come off a little ways off its back.
Oh.
So it just looks like a bunch of rocks growing out of his back.
All I know is this thing, it's so massive and it's so big. It's really only used on PvP servers. Now, normally when you tame a dinosaur, it's yours. If you manage to knock it out and keep it alive, that dinosaur is yours. The Titanosaur is so big, so massive, and so unique that, first off, the way you knock it out, you have to knock it out by shooting cannonballs at his face. Once it's knocked out and you feed it, or actually you don't feed it, once it's knocked out, you get it for 24 hours. Because once it's yours, it refuses to eat. So it'll stay alive for 24 hours. Now, what a lot of people do on PvP servers, they'll tame one of these things, put a saddle on it, and then ride it directly into an enemy base, because this thing does mass amounts of damage to structures. So every dino has a unique reason for being, I suppose.
Yeah.
So a little bit about our base, Clay, on the center map. We play on a PvE server. We've played on all of them. We've played on private servers, PvP servers, PvE servers. I'm done with PvP. Fuck that. You get into things where, like, the last PvP server we were on, we were running around, and then all of a sudden, like, the flash, you just see people streak across your screen, and then they run up and you're dead, and you don't even know what hit you. I don't understand that. People claim they just dump all their points into movement speed. It's like, then how do they have the life to be able to take a hit from me? Like, I don't know. Moving that fast seems ridiculous. But we play on a PvE server. We play on the center map. We built our bases essentially on a cliff. So we're on the face of a cliff. Right below us is a river. So eventually we can irrigate and pipe in water. There's a land bridge that goes over to a mountain that has a bunch of metal on it, and we're surrounded by forests, and there's a ton of stone along the beach. So we're in a resource decent area. Dinosaurs, like aggressive dinosaurs, can really only get to us essentially one way, from one side of our base. And we just recently built this taming pen. Like our houses are made out of stone. We've acquired quite a few animals here. Clay, out of both of us, Clay is definitely the animal acquisition person. He's the one who goes out and he gets all the animals. I'm not.
Because you don't like going out and getting killed.
No one likes dying, but I'm just not very good at this. I'm better at fighting other animals. I'm definitely the murderer, which we'll get into that in a little bit. I have a special story just for Edquist and the listeners involving that. So we have things like we have mammoths, we have dodicaruses, which are like little tiny ball guys with hard shell. They're kind of like an armadillo almost. One of their special moves is they curl up in a ball and you just roll with it. It's just a faster way of moving around. They're really good at getting stone. Mammoths are super good at getting wood. And what I mean by super good is that's what they're made for. So say a stack of wood normally weighs 100 pounds in this game. On a mammoth, it'll weigh, 25?
12.7.
12. There you go. 12.7. So it's good at harvesting wood, and it weighs less when it's on it, so it can acquire more wood. The Doedicruses are for stone. We have Ankylos for metal and flint. My favorite animals so far are Argentavises. Those are like giant birds, which they just reworked what they look like. They look kind of like weird vulture-esque type birds. Um, I'm really good at fighting stuff on birds. I don't mind. I don't want to toot my own horn, but yeah, just took down a level 135 Alpha Rex by myself using just a bird. It was nice. I felt proud of myself. I still am kind of hesitant to take on a Giga, but I will swoop down and smack Gigas in the face a few times. Now, Gigas are a whole different story. We actually have a couple of those as well. What goes into taming a Giga, and what's special about a Giga, Clay?
Basically, Gigas are the most, one of the most dangerous dinos in the game. It will basically eat and kill anything, as long as it's wild. They have some around 87,000 health wild. Their attack damage is like 500-600% wild. They seem to like get a 75% reduction in all stats when they're tamed, but that reduction, don't let it fool you, it still does a hell of a lot of damage.
Yep. Like a Giga versus even on so max level wild dinos that are tameable, you get up to 150, level 150. Okay.
Yeah.
Now, once you tame them at that level, they will increase in level up to another maximum. I don't.
Depending on what you tame them with, also depends on what level they will max out at.
Right. So, say you wanted a T-Rex, because a T-Rex is one of the most iconic dinosaurs, obviously. If you wanted a T-Rex, you would want to try to knock it out using, narc arrows or tranquilizer darts out of a rifle. You would essentially want a 150 T-Rex, because that's going to be the biggest T-Rex that you can find naturally in the wild. So T-Rexes, if you knock it out, you can throw on raw meat. They'll eat that. That's not the most ideal meat.
No.
The next one up would be raw prime meat. I'm pretty sure that's what I tamed mine with. And then there's something called kibble, which Clay opts to try to use on everything. Now, kibble is made by using eggs from certain dinosaurs mixed with water, berries, and some form of other ingredients. Then you mix them in a cooking pot for a certain amount of time, and you'll come up with one kibble. So, like, say give me an example, Clay, if we wanted a 150 Tyrannosaur right now.
150 T-Rex, you would need scorpion kibble, Palmoscorpius.
See, everybody, this is why he's our tamer.
It would be something like 33 Palmoscorpius kibble right now, because it's only one-time taming, because it's not a weekend event thing.
Okay. So already you need 33 scorpion eggs.
Yeah. And then you would need also 33 prime meat jerky, which is made from cooked prime meat, oil, and spark powder in a preserving bin, which has to be in there for 36 minutes to make one piece of jerky. Yep. So it is a time-consuming process. You want to have these things going at all times. You want to keep them full and up to, just so that you got enough to make what you need. Otherwise, you run out very, very quickly when you're making kibble.
Right. And some people, they might say, oh, well, raw prime meat, you just go get that, and then, you just gather up hundreds and hundreds of raw prime meat, and then I'll just go back and shove it all in my preserving bin, or cook it all, right? So the hard part here is raw meat stacks up in stacks of 20. Okay. Yes. Raw prime meat does not stack, so you have to carry those individually, and everything has an expiration date. They have a spoil timer, and raw prime meat spoils very fast when not in something.
Yeah, you need preserving salts or keep it in an animal to keep it longer.
Yeah. Also, if you start off with just a cooking fire, you only have, I think, like 3 or 4 spots.
And one of those spots is required to be the fuel for the fire.
Right. So it gets complicated. This is where later on down the line, once you level up, you learn things called engrams. So you get to learn how to make bigger and better things as you progress in level. And one of the things you can make is the industrial cooker. Has way more spots, runs on gasoline. So you just throw a stack of gas on it, and you cook up stacks and stacks and stacks of this meat. The hard part is if you run out to an area, only certain dinos will drop raw prime meat. Depending on what you kill it with and what you harvest it with will determine how much raw prime meat you get off of it. So it is hard to have a steady supply of raw prime meat to be able to turn into this jerky, which is made for kibble, which is used for taming things. It's a process. So now, Clay, you told us it takes 33 kibble.
Yes.
To tame one level 150 T-Rex.
Yep.
Now, once it's knocked out, and you say you just throw this kibble on it, right? How long does it take to tame one T-Rex?
Well, there again, depending on if there's an event going, like the 2 times taming, or if it's one time taming.
1 times taming. Say I wanted to go out right now. There's no event happening.
1 time taming, it would take you an hour, 45 minutes, probably a little bit longer because, you got to be paying attention to stuff around you, because where you knock your dino down, the minute it's knocked down, it's seen as vulnerable by other dinosaurs, and those other dinosaurs want to kill it. So you have to protect your tame from other things. And you got to keep it asleep, so you can't just wander off and think, I'll just drop the food on it and it'll stay asleep. No, you got to keep it asleep using narcotics or narco berries or biotoxin or narco mushrooms. It's not something you can just leave.
Let me ask you this, Clay, because this is a mistake that I am very guilty of until I learned about it. And now I don't do this. So why is it a bad idea? Say, okay, I have this crossbow, right? And I have a bunch of narco arrows. I knocked this T-Rex out with narco arrows. It goes down and falls asleep. I see its torpidity timer dropping, so I know that it needs. I'm not going to have enough time, so I need to keep it out. Why is it a bad idea for me to just shoot it more times to increase its torpidity again?
Doing damage to it while it's sleeping reduces the taming effectiveness of the dinosaur, because it's conscious, and the taming thing is basically it's looking at you. You knocked it out. You give it food. So it's becoming kind of getting a loyalty kind of thing. If you start shooting it, it's going to look at you like, well, holy shit, this guy's trying to actually kill me now, and its taming effectiveness and it drops significantly, which means as it gains points for levels, if you point into, say, health, when you got like almost 100% taming effectiveness, you'll get probably 300 to 400. Now, if you've hurt this thing a lot and its taming effectiveness drops down to, say, like 30 to 40%, instead of getting 300 points in its health when you drop the point in, you might get 50 or 60. So plus, you want to use just what you need to knock it out.
Does taming effectiveness also increase from the time when it's knocked out to waking up? How many levels it gains just by taming?
Yes, it does.
Okay. So say you had a 100% tame, right? And you don't have to look this up for specifics. You can ballpark it if you want, or just give a base example.
Yeah.
Say you knocked out a T-Rex and you're using kibble. It has a 100% taming effectiveness. You do everything perfectly. and it's a level 150, roughly how many levels are you going to gain from that?
71 is what you should get.
Okay, so that's what? Level
221.
221. So already this thing's going to wake up. It's going to be level 221. That's awesome. Now, if you shoot it a bunch of times and you lower its taming effectiveness and you drop that shit down into the gutter, roughly how many ballpark levels is it going to gain if it's down near like 30% taming effectiveness?
I had an incident where I was using kibble, and the last second before it ate the last kibble, a raptor jumped in the pen. It would have been a 71 level increase. It hit the dino twice while it was sleeping still. It dropped it down, so its taming effectiveness was only like 70%, and it only gained 30 levels.
Yeah. So you're effectively hurting your dino's chance of survival overall by letting things that hit it or hitting it yourself or doing things where it won't tame at a high taming effectiveness.
Yes.
So, and that all comes into play with something that we're currently trying to do. Like all these things affect things later on. Like currently we've been messing around with the whole breeding of dinos. Now, breeding dinos is a chore, much
Yes.
like just staying alive in this game. But when you breed a dino, essentially you take, a male and a female, they mate, and then that egg is going to come out, and once you hatch it, that's going to have a roughly in-between mix of the parents' levels, right? So if you had, say, two... What was it? You said it was 221 is a perfect tame on a 150?
Yes.
So if you had two 221 parents...
it should come out as 221 baby.
Wouldn't it come out slightly higher than that? Don't babies always come out slightly higher than the parents?
That comes in with possible mutations that are achieved. Like, they should be close to the parents.
All right.
But if there is a mutation in there, it could be higher than the parents.
Oh, yeah. That's a whole different ballpark, people. Mutations
I haven't gotten into that, so I know really nothing about it yet.
Me and Clay just recently started, breeding our dinos and hatching the eggs, and it's been a clusterfuck.
Yeah, if you're not prepared for it, you're going to lose babies.
So, Edquist, you've been quiet.
Yes, I have.
I can tell for several reasons Edquist could possibly be quiet. One, Matilda's barking in the background, so he stays muted as much as possible. Two, he's probably... Yeah, see, Tilly knows I was talking about her.
I know, she does. She heard you say her name.
Or two, Edquist is playing Town Salem, which I know he is. That's fine, though. He's addicted, people. He has a problem. We've tried.
Matilda agrees. See?
Yeah. She even says, "Dad, you're not paying attention to me. You have a problem.
Yeah,
why do you like being hung in the middle of town square?" So, listening to some of the stuff that we've been talking about, Edquist and whatnot, do you have any questions about any of it so far?
I have a few.
Okay, shoot.
Okay, so what is your guys' favorite dinosaur to tame? Just the dinosaurs.
Just the dinosaur, just to tame, to have?
To have, yeah.
Mine's tied. Anytime I play this game, I want an aerial dinosaur, so I always go for an Argentavis because I love the Argentavises.
They are very versatile now.
The ground dinosaur that I always try to go for, I love the Giga. There is no better feeling than stomping around on a Giga, just running through the forest, hitting the bite button, and just seeing all the stuff that you're killing it without even seeing it on the map. It's weird. Riding on a Giga, because they're maybe twice the size of a T-Rex. When you're riding around in the forest, you're literally just seeing the canopies of the trees. You don't see you on the Giga. You don't see anything below you, so you just sit there and chomp. It's great. I love the Giga. Clay, what about you?
For me, I do love the RG. Do prefer the Wyvern more.
Right. Now, Wyverns, okay. I will say that I do love the Wyverns. They're more powerful than the Argentavis. Now, there are a few different things that I like about the Argentavis over the Wyvern, but one of the things about the Wyverns is you're only finding them on 2 maps that I know.
Yes.
You'll find them on Ragnarok and Scorched Earth.
Yeah.
And to tame one, actually, you can't even tame one, can you? You have to get it from an egg. You cannot tame one.
You have to steal the egg.
Yeah.
And stealing an egg is dangerous.
Yeah, because anytime you pick up an egg, regardless if it's fertilized or if it's just an egg in the wild, whoever that egg belonged to, if they're nearby, they're aggroed on you. They don't like you. They're going to kill you for touching their egg. Wyverns are not something that you are going to outrun on foot, mind you. And they all breathe. There are different types of wyverns. So, like, fire wyverns will breathe fire. Lightning will breathe lightning. There's poisons that shoot giant poison balls down that explode. And then there's frost wyverns. It's hard to outrun a wyvern, but then when you do get an egg and you hatch it, certain babies require certain food. So you have like your herbivores, you feed them berries. Carnivores, you feed them, meat as they're growing up. Wyverns will only drink wyvern milk, which you have to get from either
killing an alpha wyvern,
right,
or knocking out a female wyvern.
And then stealing the milk off of her.
You have to knock it out while it's alive.
Yeah. So wyverns are super hard to get. Now, the one thing I do prefer, they are very fast. They are faster than an Argentavis. And they obviously have a breath weapon, and their bite does way more damage. Okay. But the one thing I like about the RGs over the wyvern is RGs have way more maneuverability. I feel like when I'm attacking a T-Rex on my Argentavis, I swoop down on its back, attack a couple times, and then fly straight up, turn around, and do it all over again. A wyvern, you're not going to be able to turn as fast as an Argentavis.
No, they do have a wide turn.
So, although a wyvern would catch an RG in a race and definitely beat them, I do feel like if you're going through an area that's like heavily wooded or high mountaintops, like in the center around us, there's like these rock formations that just kind of jut out of the ground. You could outmaneuver a wyvern.
Oh yes.
So, now what's your favorite land animal?
It's Bronto. No, kidding.
Oh my god.
No. My favorite, oh geez,
land dinosaur, not animal. That's next.
Oh, dinosaur.
Well, then land one would I still would say would be the same as Webby. It'd be the Giga, because they are just so massive and do so much damage, and it's the one thing you can walk around in. And wild animals will literally just kind of look at you and be like, nope, not playing with him. Yep. The only thing it does is the Rex, because it's extremely territorial. That's the only reason why the Rex tries to attack the Giga.
Yep, you could walk right next to a pack of raptors in a Giga while riding a Giga, and the raptors will just leave you alone. Just go about their business. They don't want nothing to do with you. So, but taming a Giga is extremely hard. Unless you have it set up like what me and Clay do. We know where the Giga spawns on our map. We went there and we built a taming pen of sorts. So the hardest and most dangerous part of what we have to do is we just have to get the Giga's attention, get it to chase us, and then Clay usually runs into the taming pen. It'll follow him in. I shut the door, and then we both fly away from it. And then from a safe distance, just start shooting narc darts at it until it falls asleep.
Yes. And 2 out of the 3 Gigas that we did tame I died.
Yes.
I got through the taming pen, and I stopped way too close because if you look at it, you don't think it would reach that far, but the reach on the Giga is very, very deceiving.
Yeah, yeah.
You don't think it should be able to reach you, but it will reach you.
Yep. It's complicated.
And it took me 2 turns, or two Gigas to learn to not stop so close.
In fact, Clay now owns an Argentavis called Giga's Revenge 2, because Giga's Revenge 1 died
to a Giga.
And Giga's Revenge 1 was because a different RG died to a Giga.
Yes.
So Clay does not have the best of luck playing with Gigas, but he does have the harder of the 2 jobs, I guess, between me and him when we go to tame them. And that's he has to get it to chase him into the pen.
That's because you won't let it chase you.
Yeah, well, I haven't lost a bird to it yet, and that's why.
They grow back.
Yeah. So what was the next question, Edquist?
Okay, so next was, what was your favorite animal? Mammal or whatever.
Hands down. My favorite... Oh, man, no, that's a complicated question.
It was hands down, and now it's complicated.
Yeah, okay, so there are 2, I guess, mammals that every time me and Clay hop on a server, I want one of each. And that's the dire bear. I'm a huge fan of the dire bear. I have so much fun on that. And then the other one's the thalacalio, which is like a giant cat. And it's not a saber-toothed tiger. It's different. They do have saber-toothed tigers in this. But, so your saber-tooths, their special ability, they're very fast, and they have a jump mechanic. So you can actually jump with them and leap onto things. The thalacalio, not only do they have a jump mechanic, and they're more powerful than a saber-tooth, you can actually cling to surfaces and crawl up walls, which is awesome. So much fun. Now, the reason I love the dire bear so much, first off, it's a fucking dire bear, people. It's just a humongous bear. I love it so much. And when you level him up, he sits down on his butt and he just kind of like stretches his arm out like he's waving at you. It's adorable. But the cool thing with the dire bear is beyond... They do have relatively powerful attacks, so they can take on bigger dinos. They run deceivably fast. They start off running really slow, but the longer you're running without anything in front of you, you continuously gain speed. And they become one of the fastest ground mounts, I think.
Yeah, it just takes the few minutes for it to get up there to that speed, but once it's there, it's comparable to the sabertooth, which is sabertooth is, I believe they said, the fastest land animal.
Yeah. So that would be my tie, would be between the thalacalio and the dire bear. I love both of those as the mammal-ish creatures on here.
And the dire bears do have a retarded amount of stamina, so they can actually travel very, very far and at high speed.
Yep. And if you're running, like, say, along the beach, which is the more open areas, they do have, like, old wooden logs and stuff that are in your way, but if you time it right with a dire bear, you can use your bite attack to break the log and just continue running full speed through it. It takes a little getting used to, but it's fun. Clay, What about you? What are your favorite mammals?
Thalacalio, yes, that's hands down given. And I do like the Scorched Earth Jerboa. It's just so damn cute.
Whoa, that's different. That's a shoulder animal. I didn't think we were talking about shoulder
animals.
animals.
That's still an animal. He didn't say shoulder animals.
Come on.
He didn't say shoulder animals.
Now my Jerboa is giving me this weird look like, oh, you don't love me? Fuck you.
Yeah, exactly. All Jerboas, I believe, start at level 1. I've never seen any Jerboa any higher than that, except for on like a private server, because it's the server admins control what levels animals spawn at. But But yeah, Chirobos are cute. They tell on Scorched Earth, they tell you when you have bad weather coming and what kind of weather it is, so you know what you have to do.
Yep.
Like if it's an electro storm, they make a little weird purring noise to let you know that basically anything electrical isn't going to work in an electrical storm.
You can hear Edquist typing furiously. No, don't hang me. No, don't hang me. I'm the sheriff. I'm the sheriff. Here's my bogus ass will. Isn't that right, Edquist?
Yes.
No comment. That's what I was expecting, but he just admits to it now. He doesn't even care.
Now, okay.
But no, that's not what I was typing.
Oh.
So my last question in that area was, what is your favorite aquatic animal?
No, none. I don't have one. I hate the water. I keep my ass out the water.
You've seen Jaws, right?
Yeah, exactly, people. Okay, let me tell you the dangers of this. There's underwater things. You can get underwater creatures, and some people, they might say, oh, that's cool. You know, I used to play Echo the fucking Dolphin on Sega Genesis. Fuck you all for all you people who don't understand that reference. You go swimming out in the ocean, you're going to get attacked, or in rivers even. Rivers, I think, are worse sometimes. You're going to get attacked by fucking saber-toothed salmon. You'll get piranhas up your ass. And then when you start venturing out into the ocean, you get things like megalodons, which are essentially fucking great white sharks that are humongous and they'll eat you. There are how do you pronounce that again? The thing that attacks all the boats. Yeah, those things, if you're on a raft, they'll attack your raft. They'll down you. Then you're out in the ocean with all those fucking Jaws creatures. There are fucking manta rays that will attack you. There's jellyfish that'll fuck you up. Jellyfish in this game, probably one of the deadliest things in this game. Honestly, it'll kill you. It'll kill anything you bring out there.
There's only one thing that a jellyfish cannot kill, as far as I'm aware. And that's
basilosaur.
Basilosaur.
Yeah, I got it right. So yeah, and like, as far as resources out in the water, you get things like oil. You get things like silica pearls, right? I find other ways to get those materials, so I don't have to go in the water. There's no reason for me to be in the water.
So he stays his ass at the pool.
Yep. So my very long answer to that very short question for you, Edquist, was I do not have a favorite water animal.
Well then, not even the alligator.
The Sarco is an aquatic and land animal. So I guess if you want to toss him in with the aquatic animals, then yes, it would probably be a Sarco. Sarcos are
insanely fast.
Super fast in the water. Like, very few things are going to actually catch you. But they are ridiculously long as animals. Clay, what about you? What are your favorite? Clay is the one out of both of us who spends way more time in the water, except on this server. I haven't really seen you do much in the way of water stuff.
Trying to get set up for a water pen is not easy when you have people blocking you everywhere you turn from building a water pen. That's one of the drawbacks of playing on a open world public server. You have to deal with other people putting pillars down and preventing you from building in certain areas.
Yep.
But for me, I love the Sarco mainly because you can shoot off it while you're riding. And it's one of the few animals where you can stop in the middle of the water, gain stamina, and then go again. And like you said, it outruns everything. It's just crazy fast. And yeah, I don't mind it being super fucking long because that's what makes it so fast.
Yeah. So there you go, Edquist. Was that the last of your questions for right now?
He's got himself muted, probably.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry. I thought I was muted, and then I tried to but I muted myself. Yeah. So for right now, that's the last of my questions. But I might have more.
All right. So to talk a little bit more about me and Clay's current ventures into breeding these dinos, it started off where we didn't know really anything about what it took to breed them. We knew that you needed AC units because they have to have a certain temperature, and an AC unit will give you ideal living situations for incubating. So it started off with me. I ended up getting I mated 2 of my Argentavises. I got an egg. So I just dropped it in the middle, and I raised a new Argentavis. And when it hatched, it was this little tiny, tiny baby Argentavis that you had to walk around. You had to hand feed food because they ate food so fast. And you couldn't let it starve because if it ran out of food, it would start taking damage and die because it has such little life. So you literally have to take care of these things. You can't just, oh, there's an egg, here's some food, I'm going to go leave now. Now, as it raises, it starts off as a baby, you imprint on it, and then it raises up to becoming a juvenile. Now, once it's a juvenile after X amount of hours, it'll start feeding from feeding troughs.
At which point you can leave it alone.
Right. You can just throw a bunch of food into a feeding trough and just walk away for a while. Now, when you imprint on it, it starts a timer. It's an 8-hour timer. Now, this is where it wants attention from you again. So if you want to imprint on it again, you have to come back in 8 hours from the first time you imprinted, and then you have to give it one of 3 different things. Either it'll ask you for a kibble of a random sort. There's a list of 15 of them, at least on this map, that it'll want. It'll ask you for cuddles, so all you have to do is hit the E button and you just cuddle with it. Or it'll ask to go for a walk, and then you just put it on follow, and then you just take it for a walk a little ways, and then you imprint on it. Now, imprinting will increase its base stats, apparently, by a little bit, but the biggest part about imprinting is if you get a 100% imprint on an animal, which I did on my very first Argentavis, because I wanted to know what it did, it allows you, when you're riding it, it will do 20% more damage and take 20% less damage, or 30% rather. 30% more damage and take 30% less damage from all things. So that's a huge buff to have, especially if you're like me and anytime I have to go out and kill something, I'm flying on a bird. That's my go-to animal to kill things with. So after we did that, Clay was like, well, let's breed these. And then he bred, 3 Argentavis eggs. So he figured, going into it, that he would just have to take care of 3 baby Argies.
Yes.
He was wrong.
That's all I had planned for.
He was very wrong. The first 2 hatched. They had 1 RG each. The last of his eggs hatched. He had 3 baby RGs. He had triplets come out of his egg. So he was already taking care of now 5 Argentavises. At the same time he did that, I decided I'd breed my raptors because I wanted to see what baby raptors looked like.
The Ovis. It was the Ovis first.
No, it was the raptors first. The raptors were already the raptors were already there before we decided to breed the Ovis.
You sure?
Mm-hmm. Positive.
I don't think so.
Yeah, because I had 1 raptor egg and I got twins out of it.
Yeah, but they just turned to adult.
Yeah, and the Ovis is still an adolescent.
Yeah, the Ovis takes way longer than the raptor to turn to an adult.
Trust me, it was the raptors first. I guarantee you. Remember, because I had my hyena done, the raptors right behind the Ovis, and then your 5 birds. We ended up getting 2 Ovises.
Yeah, I'm just checking because it only takes a day and 15 hours for a raptor to go full grown.
It's fine. I had just... Anyway, So I ended up getting twins out of my raptor egg. So we were taking care of like 7 animals down here because we have a little breeding pen now. And then we decided to breed this ovis because we wanted to breed a live birth animal, a mammal. They don't obviously drop eggs. So we made it an ovis, which ovises are generally just, for us anyway, they're used as food. Because some dinosaurs prefer raw mutton, which mutton is gotten from these ovises. So we're like, well, instead of Clay having to go over to a different server just to go get these ovises for food for animals, let's just try breeding them. Well, we ended up getting 2 ovises, and they were probably the most pain in the ass animal to take care of out of all the ones that we had done so far.
They were the ones we most panicked about.
Yeah. Because we would feed them berries, because they're herbivores, but they were eating them so fast, and they weren't holding on to as many of them as, say, the meat eaters. So we couldn't just leave them alone. So we had logged off. Clay tried his best. We tried to do all the math out correctly and everything. And then we decided we'd log off. We woke up the next day. One of the ovises died of starvation. 3 of the Argentavis died of starvation. It was a bad morning. And we just apparently did our math wrong. Just for whatever reason, the food in the troughs weren't lasting and stuff like that.
We forgot to account for how many animals were in there eating out of the troughs and the amount of food.
So, I mean, after juvenile, they turn into adolescents. They have a maturation timer where they mature. It'll tell you what percentage they are. And then after adolescence, they become adult. Then they're just like a regular tamed dino, just with higher stats than what you would have tamed them with. So after the ovises and stuff, we decided, okay, well, let's breed these ankies that we have. We had ankylosauruses. We had 3 eggs that we got. Well, 1 came out of 1 egg, and then I think there was...
we got 1, and then again triplets. We got 3.
Yeah. So...
I might add to this point, the chances of getting triplets is 0.05%. The odds of getting twins is 10%. And we'd already experienced 2 twins and 2 sets of triplets.
2 sets of triplets, yep. And I want to say it was the Anki. Was the Anki the one that I ended up putting? Nope. Maybe it was. Which one did I put down? And you didn't see it coming.
Oh, that was your RG, your new RG.
Oh, yeah. Okay. So, yeah, here's the thing, Edquist and listeners. I had already bred an RG, and out of the egg, I got a boy, which I raised, and he's now my new combat mount. So I bred them again. Because the way you want to do it's very fucked up, the way they want you to breed these things to actually get mutations and make these things bigger and stronger. I needed a female. So I bred them again. I got another male. I was like, fuck, okay, I'll name him this and I'll keep him. I finally bred the RGs a 3rd time because there's a period of time where, when you mate them with a female, the female has to wait like a day or whatever, a couple days before she'll breed again. So I finally mated the same 2 RGs again a 3rd time. It was born a male. And so Clay was sitting there watching me, and he did not expect this. I was so pissed off that it was a male for the 3rd time and that I needed a female. I just pulled out my gun and I shot the baby RG.
He outright just murdered that thing. It was just like, dude, what the... okay.
Well, I didn't need another boy, and I didn't want to have to waste the time.
Well, yeah.
That's all. So, Clay, tell us a little bit about the breeding process. I'm going to step away for 2 seconds.
Okay, well, basically, like you said, you gotta take 2, a male and female, put them close together, and you gotta set them, enable wandering. Problem is, when they start to wander, if they get too far apart, the mating process stops, and you gotta get them close together again, and then it'll start again, but it starts again at 0. So it's a bit of a process. You basically just pen them in, enable wandering, and after it reaches the mating meter reaches 100%, they'll either pop out an egg or the pregnancy of the mammal will begin. And you just turn off wandering, and then you put them where you want them and wait for the egg to hatch or the mom to have the baby. It is recommended to put a live birth animal on top of something so that when it gives birth to the baby, because it drops it literally underneath it, it's best to put it up on a ceiling tile over a ledge so that it drops down onto the floor below and doesn't get stuck underneath the mom, because I had to destroy part of the base to get the baby out from underneath the mom yesterday, so for the doe head.
Yeah, I love it when things fall through the floor.
Well, it's like the ovis. We knew they hatched, but didn't know where they went.
Yep. And then we run underneath. We were only expecting to find one baby. We found 2. It's like, oh my God. All right. So let me ask you this, Clay. During this process so far, we've bred 2 animals that were live birth.
Yep.
And we've done, I don't know, half a dozen eggs. Plus the 1 egg that we're currently still incubating that took 2 days or so.
Yes.
Because we're attempting to, we got a fertilized Giga egg. We're attempting to try to raise a baby Giga, but it's got another 13 hours on the incubation time.
And when that thing hatches, both of us will be online, or I'm putting it in the fridge and we're waiting till we're both online.
Yep. So out of the eggs versus live birth, which one do you prefer? Or do you not have a preference?
So far, I would say because of the way that they seem to get the live births, either get stuck underneath the mom or they drop through the floor and you have to go and search for them. It's been the eggs because they just drop and the mom walks away from it.
Yep.
So it's easier to pick up.
Not to mention,
also,
I think with the eggs, like currently, I am doing another set of raptor eggs. I'm doing another raptor egg. It has 41.5 minutes before it incubates and hatches. Now, the thing with the raptor egg is if I'm not going to be on in 40 minutes, I can pick up this egg and put it in a refrigerator. And then next time I'm on, I can take it out, put it back, and it'll still be at that 40-minute incubation time. So the eggs are more manageable as far as working around a schedule.
Yes, the live birth ones, as soon as the pregnancy's over, pop, it's right there.
And while they're pregnant, guess what? You can't pick up the animal and put them in a refrigerator to stop that.
I wish. That would be so handy.
So, I mean, currently that's what me and Clay have been working on the past several days, is just kind of playing around with the whole breeding of animals and figuring out how to get better stats on certain of them, or to acquire more of a type of animal that we maybe didn't feel we had enough of, like the ovis, technically. I mean, that's going to be an ongoing thing, I think, with us.
Yeah. We also learned a lot of stuff. Like one thing, we're unprepared food-wise for doing this.
Yes. Yep. So, I mean, that's all I have to say about the birth process, or yeah, I guess the birthing process.
Mating.
Mating process, whatever. It's complicated, but I mean, it's fun. It is different seeing some of your favorite dinos as babies and then literally watching them grow up. And it does take a long time. So this isn't something where it's like, oh, I'm going to hatch this egg and in an hour I'll have a new Argentavis. It's like, nope. It's going to take you about an hour or 2 to hatch the egg. And then you're going to have to sit there and literally baby the Argentavis for another maybe hour or 2.
Oh, at least hour and a half, yeah.
And then after that, it's going to be another at least day and a half or so before it's an adult.
Yeah.
So,
like the imprinting, like we were saying, imprinting is good, but if you're trying to get that super high stat dino, you got to repeatedly keep breeding until you get to the level you want. Then it's recommended to imprint.
Yeah, so you don't have to imprint on every dino you hatch. That's insanity.
Yes.
Another thing we just found out about the imprinting process is, okay, so you have that 8-hour timer. If you're not there for the 8 hours, like directly on the dot, that's fine. It will just continue to want that imprint the next time you're online or the next time you're around. But the problem is normally, and this varies per dino, say you need to imprint 4 times. Like I think a raptor is 4 times. If you're not around for one of those times, and then you come back and you imprint on it, by the time it's an adult, you might not get that 4th imprint. It just might not be an option because it's already hit adulthood. So, I mean, you don't have to imprint, but I mean, if you're there and if they just want to be pet, might as well. I mean, there's no harm, no foul in it, I don't think. I wouldn't suggest if you have a dinosaur that wants a certain type of kibble, if you're not bothering to imprint all 4 times or all 5 or 6 times, don't feed it the kibble. It's a waste of kibble. So
yeah, if you're going to use the kibble, then you're doing it because you're going to plan on being around for and you are going to get that 100%.
Yep.
Otherwise, yeah, it's not worth it.
So, Edquist, do you have any questions about the breeding process and the hatching of eggs?
He has had experience with this. He did do all those dodos, remember?
Yeah, and then they kept getting killed by my dung beetle over and over again.
What?
God.
My dung beetle kept murdering all the baby dodos.
Oh my god. So yeah, that's why we put dung beetles in pens, people. You hear this?
I mean, not really. I mean, what do you find is the most difficult to imprint on? Or how, like...
Well, I'd say the live births, again, are probably the hardest to do because, again, it's... Once you mate them and the female goes into the gestation process, there's no longer a moment of convenience. They give you a timer, and you have to be there when that timer goes down to 0. As far as imprinting, all of the imprints are the same. Technically, they always want one of those 3 things. But it's just a matter of how many imprints. Like I said, the Raptors, I think, only needed 4. My Argentavis needed, I think, like 6.
Yeah.
So I'm curious to see something like the Giga, who's a much larger animal, how many times he's going to take the imprint, or it all depends on how fast they mature.
Yeah. Well, I know the Parasaur only requires 3 because it gets 33% per, so
yeah,
must mature really fast.
Yeah. The Argentavises get 17%. The Raptors get like 25. So, yeah. Imprinting, again, it's not hard. That's one of those things where it's just, if you want to make sure you imprint 100% because this is a very specific dino that you want to have those bonus stats on, be there every 8 hours. You have to try to... We've gotten it down to where if we can make sure that we get an egg to hatch at a very specific time, we can make it there for every 8 hours after that. But like, it sucks if you just, I'm just going to hatch an egg willy-nilly at 1:15 in the afternoon. And all of a sudden, okay, well,
that sounds like you.
9:15, you have to be on the imprint again. All right, well, that's fine. Well, now at fucking 3 a.m. or 4 a.m., you have to be back on the imprint again. It's like, shit, now you have to set an alarm clock just to get back on the game to imprint on something. So, I mean, there is a lot of math involved in making sure that you do it at correct times if it's something you want to do. So, Like I said, I imprinted on my very first Argentavis because I wanted to know how all that worked. The Argentavises that I've raised since, I'm not bothering imprinting on. I will if I'm around, but it's no big thing. Because right now I'm just trying to do the raising process to raise a higher level dino and then breed those. So that way I start getting some of those mutations, which I'm not going to get into because that's complicated shit. That's a Clay question. Clay read up on this one.
Yeah, I read up on it, but I am still confused on it. It is a lot of breeding back to
The parents.
Actually, no. Because basically, you have a male and female. They got good stats. Great. You breed those together. Now, you want a male and a female from both of those. So, like what he's trying to do, he's trying to get a girl. Then you take the two kids. Here we go, the incest part. You breed the kids together, and you produce a baby. Now, your preference is, again, to get a female. And then when you get that female, you breed it back to the dad.
Which is
And then
fucked up.
that begins the mutation process. And before you add any points or do anything to the birds, you need to write down their stats, or for any animal, you need to write down the stats of when the instant they wake up from being tamed. If you don't write down those stats, you won't know what you're going to get from your baby, because it'll take the highest stats from each parent to make that baby. So if you have a boy and a girl off of the same birds, those two babies will have the exact same stats. They won't have any higher or different. They'll be exactly the same. And then you breed them together, you get the baby off them, and then you start getting your mutations by breeding it back to the parent. There is a great YouTube video on it that explains how to breed super dinos on YouTube. I do not remember the guy's name, but he did a great video going over and explaining everything. You might want to check it out if you can find it. It just says how to breed super dinos is all I remember the title being. But he shows you with T-Rexes. So.
Yeah. And again, I mean, this isn't something that, to play this game, this is not something you need to get into to enjoy the game.
No, you just play the game to ride dinos, tame dinos, kill things, and build stuff.
For certain, one of my favorite things, literally, hopping on a Giga and just trompsing around, eating everything around. I love doing that. I could do that for hours and just find enjoyment out of it. If this game is something where you want to do a lot of the end game content and beat some of the bosses, because there are bosses and stuff that you can beat for certain prizes and certain gear and stuff.
That's what opens the tech tier for you, yeah.
Yeah, this is something that you want to at least look into, because you're going to need some high-level dinosaurs, and you're going to want them to have some decent stats before you go in and try to fight a boss. So, and that's currently what me and Clay are working towards, is we want to try to get some of the tech gear, so it's going to make our lives a little easier. So we're dipping into this breeding thing, essentially.
Cool.
That, and we're breeding ovises just to slaughter them to feed them to other dinosaurs. That's my favorite part.
That is cruel. You're also drug dealers from what I remember.
That was my previous life. Now Clay is the drug dealer, and I just provide ammunition to destroy things. I am the walking embodiment of death in this game.
He's the gun guy. I'm the drug guy.
Now, I will say something fun. And I'll admit this on this podcast because I 100% guarantee that no one who plays on this server listens to this podcast. I like griefing people. I am very vindictive when it comes to certain things. That being said, there was a guy...
What are you talking about? I don't know anything about this.
Yeah, okay. There was a guy who was part of a tribe on this server, right? And he started building close to us, and he put pillars down everywhere. Now, if you put pillars down, you can't build... Other people can't build near those pillars, right? But he was putting pillars down everywhere. So I had asked him several times in chat. I even went up to his character in the game, stood in front of him, where then it would show like a little chat bubble above my head. I asked him, can he remove any of these pillars, blah, blah, blah. He just didn't bother responding. He'd just walk away. So I got very angry, and they were working on building a raft right near us. And I knew that there was a level 135 alpha T-Rex right down the river. So I flew down the river. I swatted at it with my RG. I had it chase me, and I brought it over to his boat. And then the alpha T-Rex just started attacking him, killed him, started destroying his boat, killed all of his dinos that he had on his raft. He was very upset. Then 2 days later, he logged back in. I did the same thing. The T-Rex was still there because no one had killed it yet. He logged back in, so I kept luring it over to him. Somebody else came by, and there was like, oh, for anybody who wants to know, there's an alpha T-Rex level 135 at approximately these locations. And the guy finally spoke up in general chat. He's like, yeah, some asshole keeps luring it over to my boat and getting me killed. Then I messaged him back in general chat, and I was like, dude, I'm trying to kill this thing for you. I don't mean that I can't really control where it goes. And he didn't remember me from the 2 days before, and he actually thought I was there to help him. So then I was like, all right, well, this thing's almost, it's taking a shit kicking as it is because I've been just swatting at it here and there. I figured, okay, well, I'll kill this alpha. I killed this alpha. This guy is now indebted to me. Like, he wants to be my friend because I killed this alpha that's been just causing him a nightmare, which I brought over in the first place. So I essentially ended that conversation with, hey, I did you this favor. I got rid of the alpha. So in the future, if I need a favor, just remember I did this for you. And he's like, oh, for sure. I'm such an asshole.
Yeah, but people on the server, you got great people on some servers. You also have the dick. Some servers are full of nothing but dicks.
Just so you know, Edquist, you're muted. In case you wanted to give me a hard time for my assholery.
I mean, I'm kind of used to it. Not because you've done it to me, but because I've heard stories about what you were doing when they were doing the Minecraft shows and all that.
What are you talking about?
I don't know. I heard that you and Goose were griefing John and Samira and Austin pretty bad.
It is not my fault. That one time that John was climbing up the ladder and I shot him from across the map with a bow and arrow and kept knocking him off the ladder. Not my fault. He walked into my arrow. Anyway, yeah, well, the other time that I griefed someone pretty bad that I felt was justified, at least this one was Clay had run into some other dude's base, one of the Chinese tribe's bases. And the only reason we know that they're Chinese because on this Ark, there's not a way to get the Chinese lettering, or if there is, it's in the advanced settings. But generally, when they speak in tribe chat, it just comes up as squares. Like it doesn't.
You have to set your game to Chinese version.
Yeah.
The actual.
And I'm not going to do that.
No.
So Clay had run into one of their bases at one point, and they were there waiting and just shut the doors on him. So he was stuck inside their base. Because they weren't part of our tribe, he couldn't open up their doors. So he had no way out. He was literally just a prisoner in their base. And they had a bunch of animals outside, so I lured another alpha T-Rex over to their base and started raising hell with all their dinos because I couldn't attack their dinos because this is a PvE server. So you have to get creative. If you can't kill somebody's dinos or attack their base to get their attention, lure as big of a dino as you can over to do so for you.
Gets their attention.
Yeah. So eventually they ended up letting Clay out.
And my bird.
And his bird. So
he didn't like losing a I think you said it was a 291 bred dino T-Rex to that alpha.
Yeah.
But it's like I was just standing inside your base, looking around, checking out the animals. I wasn't doing anything, and then you closed the door.
Yep.
That's when you closed the door, and then you made sure that I couldn't get out. Which you could have just said, "Get out of our base," and I would have left.
I took that as an act of war.
Yep,
I might have escalated things, but still.
It's just how it works.
So yeah, I'm real big on the whole trolling thing. If people piss me off, I tend to lead big nasty things to near them. But we do have people like we've helped people out. We've given them animals before. Other people's bases who maybe are lower level tribe than us, they'll be attacked, or they'll have just regular T-Rexes attacking them near their house. So me and Clay will fly over and kill the T-Rex for them. I mean, we do our fair share of nice things for people. Generally, I always yell at Clay because Clay's the nicer of the two, and I feel compelled to help out, I guess. And I like having my persona of being the asshole and not caring.
You just like killing people's stuff.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a true statement. So. But anyway, yeah, that's about it. So.
Yeah, that's like I said.
Ark Survival Evolved, man.
And it is survival, trust me.
Yeah, I've had my fair share. Generally speaking, let's see. Clay, here's a question for us that I came up with. If you could say the one thing that kills you most often on this game, what would it be?
You're a dick. What kills me mostly on this server? Stupidity. And thinking I could do something and knowing I can't do it.
Okay. For me, probably either getting attacked by something that causes torpidity, so it'll put me to sleep before it kills me. Mainly Trudons. Or tabbing out and forgetting that I'm still technically logged in and starving to death.
If I just look at the tribe log, I think I've seen you starve to death more than anything.
Probably. I do tab out of this and end up getting sidetracked doing other things and just forget that I'm here, or I'll walk away from the computer for a little while and come back and I'm dead. So...
Yeah, you can't just log out in this game or tab out. It's dangerous.
Yep, it's constantly things. So. But yeah, all right. Also, the more you sprint, because I'm literally inside of a building right now. I'm still during this entire time that we've been recording this SU. I've just been collecting eggs in our hatchery, but I've been sprinting everywhere, so I'm constantly starving and dehydrating. But, all right.
I've almost died to dehydration.
You better not be eating my eggs.
I'm not. I'm putting them all in the Thalacalio because your bird's not here.
Because my bird's with me.
I will say one thing too, although it never really amounts to much of anything. Every time I play this game on a different server, I always tend to have to feel the need to have a raptor pack. Raptors aren't the greatest dinos. They are effective, especially in large groups. But, once you get things like a couple T-Rexes or a Giga, the Giga's going to do more damage than a Raptor pack most of the time. But I always tend to just have the need to have a Raptor pack. Because I do want to just kind of get like a pack of like 30 Raptors and then just go put them all on follow and attacking target or whatever and just go see what I can kind of fuck up. So.
Well, hey, that's better than the Dilophosaur pack you usually go.
Hey, okay, that's true. That was my other server. Was I'd have a pack of like 40 Dilophosaurs, but they took down Brontos, man. That's a tough feat for a Dilophosaur. But yeah. Now I just use them as like guard animals. So, but we're hitting that hour and a half mark, hour and 25-ish minutes mark. So unless Edquist or Clay, if you guys have any questions. Clay, I don't know if you have any questions for me, having played the game with me.
Only when you're going to tame something. Kidding.
Listen, I tamed... I don't remember the last thing. I helped you tame the Giga.
Do you guys ever plan to take on the Sky Castle thingies? Whatever the hell they're called.
The what? Oh, the obelisk, the bosses?
Obelisks, yeah.
Yeah, those are the bosses, yeah.
Yeah.
We do eventually plan on going in there.
Yeah, because we want our tech stuff.
Whole new. Yeah.
There are only really two things that I want out of the tech stuff, really, that I know anyway. One of them is the replicator, which is essentially a smithy / fabricator that just has way more slots and holds a lot more. The other thing is, Clay, you'll know the name of this, but it allows you to essentially travel to other servers without having to go to an obelisk.
The tech transmitter.
Yeah, because that would make life a lot easier.
Yeah, way easier.
But yeah, we do. I mean, that's one of the reasons why I think we're getting more into breeding these dinos now. It's a long process, and then Clay has been making nice with some of the other tribes on the server, so we're hoping that when they go, or if they decide to go do the boss, they'll bring us along too, and we'll all just kind of beat the boss together. So,
I have found several YouTube tribes of people beating the bosses without using dinos even. But it's interesting.
Fine, I'll go in there. I won't sacrifice any of my dinos. I'm gonna go in there like Rambo. I'm just gonna have a bunch of Mastercraft assault rifles or ascended assault rifles and just a crap ton of ammo.
I don't know if that will work, but
I'll hide behind all you guys. That's all.
I see how it is. And use us as human shields so you can get all the glory.
I mean, that any smart man would do the same. I mean, look at the old-timey, like, medieval war general, like kings and stuff. They always sat on the back line and stood behind their armies and let their armies win for them.
Yeah, okay.
I'm just saying.
Let the armies die for them.
Yeah, well, whatever. So, all right, with that being said, we'll do our sign-offs here. Clay, where can people find you on the internet?
Nowhere. I am invisible.
You guys can find him on Ark, obviously.
Yes. Ark. There you go if you want to find me, but you won't find me, so yeah.
Don't even try.
I'll sneak up on you and steal your stuff while you're sleeping.
Like you do to the Chinese people's eggs.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Oh, all right. Anyway, Edquist, where can people find you?
You can find me on Twitter at Confessor_X and on most other things at ConfessorX.
And on Town of Salem.
And Town of Salem, yes.
And as always, guys, you guys can follow me on Twitter at JaxForestWalker, all one word. And I also have a Twitch at twitch.tv/DMWebby. I don't stream often, but hopefully that's going to change shortly. I do have been talking about trying to stream more of these hatching dino eggs and stuff and going through this whole hatching process. Just because I think it'd make it for an interesting stream. But anyway, other than that, you guys can email us at simplyunprofessional@gmail.com. Questions, concerns, topic ideas, we'll take anything. Also on facebook.com/simplyunprofessional. You can visit there, give us a follow. And I don't know if I'm missing anything. What's Austin's Twitter again? Edquist?
CZ of 300.
CZ of 300. Send all your horse pics over to him. He'll appreciate that. And as always, until next time, everybody, fuck Booster Gold.